Hey, thank you so much for that introduction, Ron. All right, guys. Today, I have a great and exciting topic that I am so excited to talk to you about. And that is from the cloud to the CISO dashboard. So to begin, let's go ahead and take a step back and think like an analyst for a second. Imagine your dashboard looks like this. Yeah, you've got no critical alerts at the moment, which sounds like good news. But if you take a look at this, we still have 76 high alerts, 318 medium, and 261 with a low severity score just sitting there. Now, to be honest, are you really going to go through all 76 high alerts? What about the 318 medium or even the 261 low, right? Probably not. And it's not because you don't care, but just because there's too much to get through. Not all of it's going to be meaningful, and you really can't afford to waste time chasing down false positives. And really, this is the challenge most SOC teams face every single day: volume, noise, and lack of context. And that's exactly why we built and designed Trellix Wise. It's to really help you focus on what truly matters. So to kick things off, let's talk about Trellix Wise. What is that? Well, it's our AI-powered analyst. It is purposefully built to transform how SecOps operates. Trellix Wise, this is not just a rules engine or a chat box that's been duct taped to our console, but rather it was designed from the ground up to help automate, accelerate, and explain investigations across the entire threat landscape. At its core, Trellix Wise has 8 key functionalities. So first, it performs agnostic data lake investigations. And that's just where the AI is running in a targeted parallel searching to uncover the full story behind an alert. It's also able to bring contextual understanding to threats. It's pulling in that environmental data, the threat intelligence, and it's even using your past decisions to assess the risk, which is just insane that it's able to think about that and then able to apply it. Now, it also just doesn't alert. You'll see that it has the capabilities to perform auto triages and prioritize alerts. So your analysts, they're not wasting time sifting through all the noise. It can go over the cloud, endpoint, email, DLP, network data sources, just to name a few. And it's continuously learning from your guys' team's decisions. So it gets smarter over time without you having to retrain the model. It's able to handle compliance reporting automatically, reducing the overhead and just making sure you can prove what you've done. It's drawing on our Trellix proprietary threat intelligence as well. So that way, it's not just starting from scratch, but it's starting from a very deep cybersecurity focused, eccentric starting point rather than some other generic models. And most importantly, it has been built for SecOps. It hasn't been refitted or anything. Our engineers, they went in with the one goal in mind that, hey, we're going to design this AI so that way it's fully functional and working in the cybersecurity space. So with Trellix Wise, the goal is really simple. There is no alert that's going to be left behind, and there's going to be no wasted time. It's a full circle automation from your detection to decision to compliance. And I'm going to show you guys everything that I'm talking about here in the upcoming slides. So this is where our approach, it just really stands out. So while other vendors, they bolt AI into their platforms as that nice little chat bot, making you type out what you're looking for, Trellix Wise is actually doing the heavy lifting up front. We've trained our AI using proprietary threat intelligence from over 3 billion sensors. This is backed by a curated pool of historical investigations, meaning Trellix Wise, it's not just reacting to alerts, but it actually understands the context. It's able to decode encoded command line arguments, and it knows whether something matters before you even ask. It's not a chat box. This is expert-driven intelligence that has been baked in. And this is what is going to be giving your guys as analysts back their time while improving outcomes. And really, all of that is just the beginning. Now, a common pitfall that we see is that many EDR AI tools really they only focus on endpoint data, and that's helpful. That is definitely important, but that's not necessarily the full story. Alert triage, it isn't just about what the detection tool saw at the moment. It's about expanding the investigation with context. So to really understand what's happening, you need more than just that endpoint telemetry. You need visibility across network traffic, data flows, cloud activity, collaboration tools, and third-party sources. So this, what I'm showing you guys right here, what I'm demoing right here, this shows that Trellix, it connects all of those signals to give you that full context, to give you the full picture. It's not partial guesses. So that way, when an alert fires, you don't just know that something happened. You actually know the what, the where, the how, and the why. Now, Trellix Wise also goes beyond traditional AI. We don't just give it data, we give it instructions and guidance, which is drawn from thousands of real-world expert questions. Think of it kind of like a robot, right? It's building something complex, but it's not necessarily starting from scratch. It knows what the goal is. It has access to the right tools, and it understands how to use them. And that's how Trellix Wise operates. It doesn't just grab random tools. It evaluates the whole situation and selects the best tool for the job, whether it's correlating events, running a search, escalating your threats. It's guided, it's efficient, and most importantly, it's action ready. So Trellix Wise, it is doing the investigations in a collaborative manner, not with just people though, but even with additional AI agents. So let's say an analyst gets an intel hit on a domain. The question isn't just, okay, what does it mean? It's who or what has seen this, and what should I do next? So Trellix Wise is able to spin up multiple AI agents in parallel, which is very interesting. So one of those agents, it might query threat intelligence. Another one of those agents might check on the EDR solution. Another might look at the vulnerability management system, automatically using APIs and data access that is already in place. Guys, really what you're doing here is you're putting together the Avengers. Each agent acts like a specialized teammate that pulls insights from your environment and partner ecosystem in real time. And that's what makes these investigations not only faster, but way smarter. You're not waiting on tickets or pivoting between tools because it's all happening at once behind the scenes. So this diagram right here, really it's showing how Trellix Wise dynamically builds an investigation, even when it's never seen this kind of an alert before, whether it's a completely new alert, whether it's a zero-day attack. It starts with its AI-guided decision-making to select the right pre-built investigation paths. And then using what we call agentic execution, it automatically runs the right queries. No analyst input is needed. So once those results are in, Wise analyzes everything in full context, pulling from, again, the endpoint, network, cloud, and even more. Now, if those findings are critical, it can automatically escalate or create a case or even kick off the remediation that is necessary to be performed. And what's very interesting is that it records the entire analysis. I mean, I've had people ask me, well, hey, how do you know it's not hallucinating? Well, the proof is in the pudding, right? The decision path, the audit trail, it shows repeatable steps as well as a way to guide you to show you how it came to that conclusion. So you're always covered from a compliance and transparency perspective. This is automation with judgment built for scale, and it's just been powered by these years of expert data and professionals working together and collaborating to make it really the best product that we could be. Now, this is what it looks like when Trellix pulls together a complete agentic investigation. The alert, it started with suspicious behavior, but instead of leaving that for someone to chase down manually, Trellix activated a set of AI agents to actually build the full picture for us. So first, the IVX agent, it took a look at the file behavior, and it confirmed that the interpreter DLL file, a known malware payload, was downloaded. From there, the NVR agent, which is focused on network, it pulled in the network flow data, confirming, hey, yep, there was communication with the malicious domain. The Insights agent added intel hits, showing that this domain is linked to a botnet and malware activity. So really together, these agents created a narrative. It wasn't just a signal or just an alert. It was actually a narrative. It identified that this cert util, a legitimate Windows tool, was actually used in a suspicious way. So the system likely executed the malware. It's internal, there's lateral movement. The result, well, hey, Trellix actually recommends raising that severity to critical. And it's backed by data from across the entire environment. And really, that is what the power of Trellix is. Automation, explainable decisions drawn from a wide range of sources, surfaced as a single cohesive analysis. Great. Now this is a perfect example of where generative AI actually outperforms a human analyst. And I'm not even just talking about speed, I'm talking about depth. Trellix automatically detects a base 64 encoded string inside of a command. But instead of treating it as suspicious by default, it was able to decode it, understand what it does, and it made an informed decision. So in this case or example, the command, it came from the Nessus agent, and it was able to decode the string, and it saw, okay, yeah, it's looking for system metadata. It's looking for things like the OS version, the IP address, the plugin info, and that's actually expected behavior for a vulnerability scanner. So rather than raising false alarms, Trellix said, hey, I decoded this script. I recognized where it came from, and I found that it's actually safe. So there's no manual decoding, no cyber chef, no guessing. And really, that's the power of AI when it's trained on real world telemetry and expert insight, and even integrations with our great partners like Tenable. It's able to separate signal from noise at machine speed. So that way the investigations, they stay focused on what matters most. Now, I would say that one of the most powerful things about Trellix is it doesn't just apply static rules. It learns from your unique environment and your own team's decisions over time. So when an analyst closes a case, Trellix it's able to capture the context, the notes, the conditions, and the outcome. And taking all that information, it's able to apply it to your future investigations. So for example, shown right here, if an Office 365 phishing alert turns to be an outbound email from a known domain like PayPal or some other simulation tool, that pattern's actually noted. If PowerShell base 64 alert consistently turns out to be a signed, expected inventory behavior, hey, it's actually going to remember that, cutting down on your false positives again. And if brute force attempts on Linux comes from internal scanners, identifying again, it's coming from an internal scanner, or even low attempt thresholds, it learns that those aren't necessarily critical. Now, one key word that I really do want to point out in this slide right here is likely. Trellix Wise doesn't blindly suppress alerts based on past calls. It uses the context to guide that analysis, not override it. So that ensures that your decisions improve the systems without locking into bad habits. I am human. I might make a mistake. I might mark something as a false positive when really it's a true positive. Well, Trellix Wise, it's still going to capture that. It's not going to just put it on a deny list forever. It's going to think about that. It's going to keep notes. And that's where, in this case, maybe this is a bad example, shows that word likely. Now, on the other hand, one of my most favoriteest things about Trellix Wise is it's not just a magical black box. You can actually talk to it. You can give it custom instructions that really shape how it evaluates the activity in your environment. So in this example, right here, the AI, it flagged Salesforce login activity from multiple IPs as suspicious. And to be honest, that would be kind of weird if suddenly we had people logging in from all over the world into our environment. However, that also might be just fine. There are companies that have offices all around the world. They have thousands of external users logging in. So that's normal for them. So when they saw they were getting these false positives, they actually updated their configuration. They told Wise, hey, these external logins like this, they're actually expected. Don't over prioritize them. And the result, giving that new decision from the AI, not just hoping it's going to learn or hoping that it'll start ignoring it, but by actually communicating with it, there was no escalation. There was continued monitoring, of course, which is great. It didn't blindly suppress the alert. It evaluated the updated context and it adjusted its response. And really, that's the secret sauce, right? That's what makes Trellix Wise different. You're not just getting automation, you're getting an AI that is listening, adapting, and evolving with your organization's reality and needs. Okay, here is probably the most common question that we get. And I would argue that this is probably one of the most important slides in my slide deck. And I want you to take this home. And that is, hey, well, you're telling us that Trellix Wise is learning, it is adapting, it is making new decisions. Does Trellix Wise use customer data to train models? And the answer is a strong and resounding no. Trellix Wise, it's already trained. It's built on general security knowledge. It does not need your data to train it any further. And more importantly, it doesn't send your data back to Trellix or even share it with any third parties. So does the AI learn from your environment? Yes, but only in a local contextual way, like noticing those abnormal logins or behaviors within your environment. That way, Trellix Wise, it makes better decisions for you. But that data, it stays private. It never leaves your environment. And honestly, if we did try to pull your customer data into our model, that would make things way worse for us. You'd start getting hallucinations. It would start making bad and poor assumptions. There would be alerts that don't really match your reality or environment. So again, we don't take your data. We do not want your data. Your data stays yours. And Trellix Wise, on the other hand, it gets to stay grounded, explainable, and it will remain accurate. All right, so far we've really looked at how Trellix Wise, it builds the investigations using context, not just alerts. It's looking at the full picture. It makes its decisions based on telemetry, the expert intelligence, that expert data. We also covered something that's really important, that your data stays yours. Trellix Wise, again, doesn't send anything back to us. It doesn't train on customer environments. That way, we ignored those shared assumptions that could introduce bias and cause hallucinations. I already talked about that. But really, what Trellix Wise does, and what really makes it powerful, is that while it doesn't learn globally, it does learn locally. It learns from you, from your team, from your environment. I mean, let's say that you get hit with an Intel hit on the connection. That's always enough to make a decision. So you may ask, okay, well, when did I do this last time, or what happened? I mean, most tools, they can't answer that, but Trellix Wise can. It remembers which agents helped you. It remembers what data was pulled, how previous alerts like this were resolved, and what your organization considers acceptable or even risky. So maybe it sees that the connection, it was to a known good domain last time, or that the same user has AWS access policies that make this normal behavior. So this is where our AI becomes more than just automation. It actually becomes your teammate. It recalls past decisions. It consults with AI agents across the environment, and it walks you through a resolution path. It knows what's worked for you before. All right, and then this right here, this is a great example of how Trellix Wise, Helix Connect, and our ecosystem of integrations, how they all came together to deliver a fully automated, intelligent response for you. So first off, in this example, it started with Amazon Guard Duty. It detected that, hey, there was a malicious object uploaded to your S3 bucket. And so it's able to deliver a notification through EventBridge. And that's your initial detection trigger. Then the IVX kicks in. Here, it takes the file, it runs it in a safe virtual environment, and it gives you a full breakdown of what that file, if executed in the real world, were to do. What files would it touch? Would it create new files? What processes might spawn? So on and so forth. So basically, again, it's taking a virtualized environment, it's running it, and it's saying, oh, here's an OS change report. Here's everything that changed inside that OS environment. Now next, Trellix Wise and Helix Connect, they take over. They're using those built-in playbooks, maybe even playbooks that you have built yourself inside of Helix Connect. And it's using those deep integrations like with AWS or Cloudflare, Okta, and others. And really, it just checks to see if there's any of those IVX predicted behaviors, if they actually happen in your environment. So it's looking at that OS change report. It's looking on my endpoint, and it's saying, all right, I saw that these processes spawn. Did they actually happen on Jeff's endpoint? Oh, he created these files? Do those files now exist on Jeff's endpoint? That's actually really cool. Did the malware phone home? Did it create that persistence? Well, that insight, really, that's just determining whether this was a blocked upload or if it's actually an active incident. And then finally, here is where Trellix Wise basically becomes the best analyst that you've ever hired. It determines the right remediation steps, and it's able to hand those off to Trellix Tar, our orchestration layer, to take automated action. So that might mean removing the object, updating policies, or even revoking access. This is a closed loop system. Detection, analysis, validation, and response, all working together through the power of AI and automation. All right, guys, that is all I've got for you today. So in this webinar, here we covered how Trellix Wise uses Gen AI to really build out smarter investigations. We talked about how it learns from your actions. We talked about how it respects your privacy, integrates seamlessly with Guard Duty, IVX, Helix Connect to really deliver explainable responses. I hope you guys enjoyed this as much as I did. Thank you guys so much for spending time with me. And if you guys have any questions at all, please post them in the chat and they'll be answered shortly. Thank you so much. Passing it back to you, Ron.